here we go. Are you going to explain your morals one last time as well? Probably not. If you don't understand it by now, you never will. It's not worth me fucking tearing my hair out doing this shit.
Hey everyone, in this video, Destiny talks about how some of his audience has trouble accepting some of the things that he says. Like, his morality, some of the things related to his worldview, what he believes motivates his behavior, actions that he says that he would be willing to undertake. I want to show you a clip from this video and afterwards explain why I think that is probably the case.
This has actually been one of the most difficult things I've had to sort through on my stream, is that I make a lot of arguments in favor of progressive social policies and whatnot. Like, I'm probably the most progressive, like, Twitch streamer in terms of, like, doing, like, politics. And there are a lot, and I would always say things like, I'm very self-interested. This is where all of my motivation comes from. And just recently, I had a pretty big schism in my fan base where people were like, something, I don't even know what came up, but something came up, and people found out, like, wait, holy shit, this doesn't actually give a fuck about anybody else. He only cares about himself. And a lot of people got really fucking upset about this. And,
like, did they really?
Yes, like, really, like, I had, like, a bunch of people.
But you've been saying that for fucking years.
But people don't believe me when I say it. Like, and even in chat earlier, well, now people are fine with it, but even in chat earlier, there's a lot of people saying, and I even saw in my micro chat, like, oh no, Destiny just pretends to be this really edgy person, but like, he just says all this shit to be edgy. And it's like, okay, like, I mean, if you want to think that, that's fine. But like, now I have to be more careful in how I present myself, because I realize that there are a lot of people, like, there are people that are just like edgy to be edgy or whatever, but yeah.
So part of me wants to go back and find my side textbooks to justify some of what I'm going to say, but I recognize this is a shit YouTube video that very few people are going to watch, so I'm not going to bother doing that. Just consider this my views
Thanks, Hitmongers.
on the topic then. It is true that we don't know what we're capable of. Like when people say, oh, I'd never eat a person if I was starving on a island somewhere, we don't actually know that to be the case. It is shown in psychology that we are not innately one way. There's certainly an aspect of personality that carries over from context to context, but we act in a large part because of the context of our circumstances rather.
This first whole part is such a fucking waste of time. I can't even believe somebody would think it was smart to record such a stupid fucking waste of time. Well, for the trolley problem, if there was one person on one track, 5 people on the other, and the trolley was headed towards 5, would you pull the lever to redirect it to the 1? Yeah, I think I would do that. Well, you can't truly know you would do that if you've never been in the situation. Yeah, no fucking shit, Sherlock. The point of a hypothetical is to test your philosophical tenacity, not to actually evaluate in a real-world situation how you would act. Any single individual should understand this. If you really don't, why the fuck would you even talk about it if you're that far gone? If you're so fucking stupid that you can't understand that a thought experiment is there to test, like, philosophical claims and not, like, how do you think you will act in a 100% real-world circumstance? Like, if somebody were to say, let's say somebody breaks into your house, okay, and they're brandishing a weapon, do you think you would kill this person? I would probably answer, yeah, probably, yeah, sure. Well, you don't know if you really would in that circumstance, Destiny. Well, yeah, of course I don't actually know. Maybe I would be too scared to find my gun. Maybe I'd miss all of my shots. Maybe I'd forget to load the gun because I'd be too anxious. Maybe I would just cower under my bed. I don't know. I can't 100% know how I would certainly act in that situation. Typically, when you're asking hypotheticals centered around philosophical ideas, you're not saying, like, in the real world, if this were to occur, how would you act 100%? Well, I can't truly know that. Everybody knows that.
Other than, some innate part of ourselves. As if you find a very charitable person and you take away all their money, perhaps they may be very vicious. They'll steal crumbs from a small child. So we don't know ourselves completely. And when Destiny says, oh, this is what I'm capable of, this is what I do, blah, blah, like when he says, oh, you put a button in front of me that will prolong my life for 15 minutes at the expense of all of humanity. Like, I will kill all of humanity, but I get to live 15 minutes longer. I would press that button. You don't know that. And for a lot of people...
No fucking shit, Sherlock Holmes. You're telling me that if I was presented with such an extreme hypothetical in a real-life scenario that I don't actually know how I would act? Really? Wow. What a profound insight. I'm not actually sure if I would push the button to kill all of humanity, but after watching this video, I feel a little bit more certain that I would.
It is so far removed from what you would normally think people capable of, that it's better to believe that you don't know yourself well enough than that you would actually do that in those circumstances. All the time I have evidence.
It's almost like you would never be able to answer any hypothetical philosophical question ever if you had to apply it to a real-life context and then be nailed down to a 100% certain answer. No shit. But, like, is this contextualism? Like, when I answer a philosophical hypothetical, it's under the constraints of my philosophical system. It's not under the constraints of how well I know I will act in real life. How could I ever know that in such an extreme hypothetical?
Of people being self-deluded or not understanding themselves fully. I've read studies that talk about how friends know us in many ways better than we know ourselves, and things like that.
Okay, I'm not gonna be gentle today, all right? Does Destiny understand this guy's point? He's not arguing against Destiny. He's explaining why people find it hard to believe that Destiny's telling the truth about his moral system. He's mad for no reason. Okay, your sentence isn't even wrong. It's hard for me to even break down this sentence because of how dumb it is. So he's not arguing against Destiny. No, he's not arguing against me. What he's saying is that I can't make a solid claim about how I would act given an absurd hypothetical. But I don't disagree with that. I'm not even sure what he's arguing against. I don't know if anybody disagrees with that. He's explaining why people find it hard to believe that Destiny's telling the truth. If he is, then he's explaining why every single person misunderstands what the purpose of a hypothetical is to test some kind of reason or logic. Like, it's such a dumb way to go about it. Like, oh, well, the reason why people don't understand is because, well, they can't conceive of a hypothetical. Like, okay, you're not really answering or discussing or challenging anything. Like, it's such a dumb point.
But I don't have a great amount of evidence in my life of people caring about nothing but themselves. It, of course, doesn't surprise us when we meet people who say they're willing to do things that we ourselves believe that we're willing to do. I was like, well, of course you're willing to do that. I'm willing to do that as well. But you will occasionally meet people who say, I will do X, and you think to yourself, I won't do X. That seems less plausible to me. So you usually wait for them to perform actions that confirm that to you. It's like, a person says, I'm willing to murder a person, and they murder a person and go, oh, geez, they're actually willing to murder a person. I wouldn't be willing to do that in those circumstances, or at least you think you wouldn't be willing to do that in those circumstances. But sometimes you're going to meet people who say some things that are so far outside of your realm of experience in regards to other people's actions or motivations that you're not going to be able to believe it unless it's really well demonstrated. So Destiny says, I'm going to destroy all of humanity for 15 minutes of existence. Have heaps of evidence of people being edgy. I have heaps of evidence of people deluding themselves. I have heaps of evidence of people not knowing themselves. I have no evidence of people, like people demonstrating in some capacity the ability or willingness to destroy all of humanity for 15 minutes of existence. So where am I going to fall here in terms of...
I must be edgy and self-deluded, I guess. What a brilliant argument. God, I just want to absorb how intellectual this argument is. I don't think anybody's ever destroyed all of humanity for 15 minutes of life. But I do know there are some people who are edgy and self-deluded. So I'm going to totally ignore what the entire point is of that hypothetical. Because I actually don't even know what a hypothetical is for. And I'm just going to assume the guy is lying about literally everything he says. Because I'm a fucking moron.
Explaining this person's words and...
Okay.
Destroy all of humanity for 15 minutes of existence. So where am I going to fall here in terms of explaining this person's words and their behavior? It's on the things I have evidence for. It doesn't matter how many times Destiny asserts it over and over again. It's not going to become more plausible just because Destiny says it a lot of times. Of course, actions speak louder than words, but we only see Destiny in front of a camera. Destiny could walk out that door and become a completely different person for all we know as viewers. Assuming that Destiny knows himself completely and that he's perfectly communicating his perfect knowledge of himself to us is not warranted on any level, right? As Destiny sometimes notes, many of the positions that he holds could be called progressive, and these are usually positions that you associate with people who are, care about other people. So when you think about your expectations for a person who's entirely selfish, you don't get the positions that Destiny espouses. Of course, this is just you making a personal judgment, right? Just because you think that this is the case doesn't make it the case. We're talking entirely about not necessarily what's true, but what a viewer is reasonable for believing. I believe I've seen Destiny do it in a handful of debates where someone will say something like, I don't believe you, and he'll default to saying like, oh, so you're saying that I'm lying, or you believe I'm lying, but that's not necessarily the case.
I could be delusional.
A person can believe Destiny to be 100% truthful while still believing that what he's saying about himself doesn't correspond with reality. Perhaps the biggest problem, I suppose, with a lot of what Destiny says about what motivates his behavior is to actually test it would be grossly unethical. And the odds of Destiny naturally coming into contact with situations where he, has to kill. He's in a closed box with 5 other people, and there's only enough oxygen for one person, and so Destiny, selfishly just kills the other 5 people because that's the only way he's going to live. Like, that's not going to come up naturally. So we're always going to be in this kind of limbo where it's like, well, we have to accept somewhat of what Destiny says about himself, or we just won't be able to converse, or won't be able to, engage with his videos, or what have you. But at the same time, we can't ever fully accept his conclusions because they haven't been tested, I don't know, which is my thoughts on the issue. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry the camera quality is terrible.
Alright, well, the video is kind of retarded, but I'm sure there's going to be a plethora of ingenious insight to be found in the comments section. I agree with this entirely. The problem is that Destiny seems to be saying he places absolutely zero value on the well-being or happiness of others. I think he'd get a lot less blowback if he just said he values others less than himself. That's not a particularly controversial statement, and probably applies to a lesser or greater extent to most people. What would even be the difference? What would even be the difference between these two positions? Let's assume that I place myself here, and I place all other people here. Let's say that I rate this at 100, and then I rate this at 0, okay? What would be the difference between rating this at 0 and rating this at 30? How does this change anything? What does that even mean? Can somebody demonstrate what conclusion or what problem that would give me a different answer to? If I value myself at higher than every other person, but I view every other person at 30% rather than 0, what the fuck is even the difference? I don't know. Because now 4 other people equals more than you. Yeah, okay. I'm not aware of any behavior that cannot be reduced to self-interest. It is what makes the model so appealing and hard to disprove. It could be that people do not value the well-being and happiness of others, but are genetically and socially influenced. Put it another way, if a person's soup kitchen get no personal satisfaction, but they still do it. Problem with saying that everything can be reduced to self-interest is that it works the same way the conspiracy theories does. You observe something and then make up a story that's kind of sort of makes sense. Oh, nice. Yeah, you're right. That's kind of how I felt a few years ago. I used to think I was completely selfish and everything, for example, and then I realized it was way too reductionist, and altruism is altruism, and it doesn't really matter if you think you're doing it out of self-interest, if your self-interest will always, or in most cases, align as it did with mine and Destiny's case. From an evolutionary standpoint, helping those with no connection to you is about the dumbest thing you can do and will get you fucked over much more often than not. People still do it when they're in a position of help, beyond just feeling good about helping others. This is kind of true, right, with like kinship drives and whatnot, but he got hardcore downvoted because he's going against the jerk. Although I guess you can work with like other people as well too, but this might be, maybe this is stated too strongly. From an evolutionary standpoint, helping those who are connected is about the noticing. Did you even watch the bio lectures? Oh fuck, I thought I did. I think you get a lot less blowback if he values others less than himself. So any kids in this, he'll have to go vegan. What? What does valuing other people have to do with caring about animals? Oh, wow. Thanks, Robotic Water. You actually have listened to some of the things I've said. Is this what Stefan Molyneux feels like when he's the cult leader? He is being too edgy and is actually just a normal person. Destiny is like those people in I am very badass. Wow, nice. Destiny's behavior did not change at all after thinking about philosophy, but his descriptions have. Whenever his actions contradict egoism, moves to rule-based morality, which is idiotic for a true egoist. Patches 4 to 5 moral systems together. Might makes right. Egoism, contract, or are we just like throwing every term we've heard over the past month in here? Or makes nebulous, unverifiable claims. Everything considered, the only thing slightly outside the norm is that he has problems recognizing some of his emotions, and his mind is compensating with crap. Wow, nice. Oh, get dumpstered. No, I'm just kidding. There you go. Your gravestone can stay. What is the point of even having the conversation if you automatically don't believe what he says about any improbable hypothetical? It makes any kind of thought experiment useless if you just say, LOL, you don't really know what you would do. Destiny lost me in the past few months, to be honest. I did appreciate Prime Destiny's content a lot, though. Yeah, same. It seems like he suffers delusions of grandeur. His solipsistic narcissism doesn't come off as a surprise anymore, but I miss the days when we would just debate right-wing retards with facts. I don't know what value this recent content has for anyone. Holy fucking AIDS. Oh my god, please go away forever. Holy shit. Whoop Whoop destroyed his mind primarily by just asking questions. All Whoop Whoop did was make me reconsider how I state some of my baser things. My mind did not change on a single fucking thing after that conversation. Holy fucking AIDS. The biggest things that I had to change were positions that I've let other people push me into, like social contract, because it seemed to be more descriptive than any baser position I had. There are a lot of studies in psychology shows people rationalize their behavior ex post in order to feel more coherent. I feel like that's what Destiny's done after the veganism debates. I like how because I didn't accept veganism, everything I say is like completely compromised and completely like not true. It feels so good. Oh my god. According to Destiny, humans have no hardwired altruistic tendencies that are based in the interests of the community. That's Moran. When did I ever say that? What? Haven't I said like multiple times that people are probably biologically predisposed towards social behavior? I feel like I've said this like a million fucking times. I don't believe. It's ridiculous. Oh, so much to engage with here. I don't believe it. They're delusional. I can't believe it. What great posts. Really well thought out, Keldrith. I don't believe it. This is why I have to stop talking social contract like completely. Even people that I thought understood my positions more, it really had no fucking idea. Whatever happened to, I won't press the button because I wouldn't want someone else to press the button if the roles were switched. Did we abandon that? He changed his mind on that. So the whole idea of I don't want to do something to somebody else so they don't do it to me, for some reason, people assumed that this was like some fucking like intrinsically valuable proposition that I was making, that I like thought that other people like were worthy of like moral consideration, and that's why I wouldn't do, but it's not. Like I was pretty upfront the whole time that it's a pretty self-interested thing. The only difference now is that I realize that even if I hold that position, I can't really compel another person to act that way, so the position kind of becomes pointless, right? Well, I'm not going to push the button, so you're not going to push the button. Okay, sure, but I can't really compel you to do that, right? That's the whole point. So the only thing that's changed has been kind of like the underlying way that I approach it. This overlying thing about pushing a button or not pushing a button was never the point of the question. Hire someone to properly write out your moral system convenient. I feel like I've explained it so many times that if people don't understand it at this point, it's just like a willful ignorance, or like it's like inconceivable, which is, I think, actually As much as it pains me to say it, it's probably the more likely thing. So it's whatever, dude. I don't care. We're not talking about this at all after today anymore. Your discussion of morality intended to compel others to seek out what is true, because in the first case, your entire psychological egoism position or nihilism in general are counterproductive, but you just said social contract theory is compelling, so it's pointless. You have to elaborate more. I don't know what to say to that. Damn. This is the greatest post in the sub. I'll download them too, though.
If you ever need a break from your creepy hive mind fans, come peek at Twitch chat and enjoy company with the normies once in a while. I like your stuff and find your unique position within the politico-audistosphere entertaining. GL finding happiness.
If you don't believe in objective morality, then you only study morality to come up with the best description of the way you want people to act, right? In that case, what is the point of psychological egoism platform? I don't know. I don't know what the point of a platform is. Like I said, I don't generally care to label myself anything. Other people do because it's more convenient or whatever, or because it helps people understand. I'm not sure. Basically, what I'm interested in. So here's my thing, okay? People say that, like, oh, well, this is a vacuous claim because egoism reduces to altruism. So what's the point in even calling yourself an egoist? Because I think that analyzing people as egotistical provides more value than analyzing people as altruistic. For example, let's say that everybody is altruistic, but it's really because they're egotistical. Well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is that in certain acts, the calculus isn't going to be there for them to act in the way that you would expect an altruist to act. Here's an example, okay? Climate change is a big fucking deal. I think that a lot of people act in egotistical ways regarding climate change. Now, that's not to say that most people won't vote for legislation to change climate change, like I would, but most people aren't going to give up their cars, live in a shitty house, start buying bikes and shit to combat it, right? So I believe that the egoist platform has more descriptive power of how people will act in society than an altruistic one. Because altruistically, most people don't volunteer at soup kitchens. Most people don't give more taxes than they need to. Most people don't do everything they can to combat climate change. Most people don't go out of their way to help everything, right? Tons of people do not act in this altruistic way. Even if you argue, like, well, it ultimately reduces to altruism, maybe it does reduce to it, but that foundational position has more descriptive or predictive power about how a person will act than just calling everybody altruistic. This is why I prefer analyzing people as egotistical rather than altruistic. Does that make sense? This is why I prefer that position, and I think there is a difference, even if one reduces to the other. Sure, Egaswi. Didn't realize I responded to Destiny. I was unaware you responded to videos without watching to them. I watched the whole video before I responded. Why does this guy think there was anything I could even respond to? The whole video was like, well, we've never seen him kill all of humanity before, so it's hard to imagine that he could. And I know a lot of delusional, egotistical people, so he's probably that. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to respond to in the video? Like, judging by his response, he probably only watched 15 seconds of it, and he assumed it's going to make the same point that numerous other posts have been making. Because it did. What? It's a funny coincidence, isn't it? The video speaks of a necessary burden to accept someone as different from the norm. When presented with such a video, Destiny didn't watch it and assumed the content was the norm. What was the difference between this video and every other video I've watched? People are saying, like, well, Destiny lies. There's no way they could do that. Destiny, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you mean? This video was the exact... Did I miss something? Was there, like, a secret part of the video where you had to click through to get to another 30-minute description where there's actually new content that I haven't read 50 million times before? Like... Time to learn how to respond to criticism. What is there even for me to respond to? The guy isn't saying that you're lying. He's saying that you're wrong. Wrong about what? Why don't you just do math instead? Because math is fucking boring, and I don't get the political positions from math. This guy does sound like me. Honestly, when I read this guy's post, I almost had to check my fucking laptop to see if this was an AKA that I had. Except he's called Path of Exile Addict, which I would never fucking name myself. We're trying to have a productive discussion here. Trying not to be a piece of shit. Alright, we're done.